Finally, after supply chain disruptions, aluminum shortages, virus shenanigans, and of course the worst solar flare activity in recent history, my Firebrand 21-foot shell fish house has arrived.
Well, hello there. This is Corey Grabinger, proprietor of Granger Labs and one of the undocumented subcontract engineers on the infamous Plumbus project. Today we have a new project we're kicking off. We're building out an ice house from a shell to meet our ice fishing, camping, toy hauling requirements. I definitely expect an evolution here as we journey down this path. But if that's something you might find interesting, please check it out.
Let's begin with a walk around of the rig. And we'll start out with the feature that I think I'm most excited about, which is the 6-foot slide. Like any modern RV these days with the slides, it adds so much usable space that it's going to be a game changer. Next up, we'll talk about heading to the tandem axles here, the unique mechanism that Firebrand has for dropping their ice houses down onto the ice. So you'll notice they have hitch mechanisms, ball hitch mechanisms, and you unlatch those just like you unlatch a trailer, and those swing arms come up as the trailer drops down. And I think it's much more simple than the competing pin designs I've seen on competitors. Walking around to the rear of the trailer, we'll see our toy hauler ramp door, 65 by 80. Wide enough to get snowmobiles, four-wheelers, dirt bikes, and certain side-by-sides in there. Following around here, I didn't talk about windows. We've got 3 windows in the unit, one on each side above the wheel well, and one in the slide. We have a standard trailer door, double seals, does a good job of sealing. And as we come around front here, we've got a detachable hitch mechanism. And there you can see one of the 3 linear actuators for lifting and dropping the unit onto the ice. Those actuators are electric. And again, I'll try to do a special video where we just focus on how the fish house drops onto the ice. And lastly, as we come around the corner here, you can see 2 aluminum mounting brackets for the future propane tanks. Onto the inside. On the left side there, you'll note the entry door and the passenger side wheel well with a step 2 precariously positioned. The window over the wheel well, going across the ceiling here, we've got our double beams there for the air conditioner that'll go on the roof. And next is the slide. The slide uses the Liepert in-wall drive mechanism and harnesses the V-Sync 2 controller. Heading to the front V, you'll note the brake controller on the floor there. I do plan to relocate that at some point during the build. Heading towards the rear, we've got the driver's side wheel well, window above there. Here you'll see one of the 3 linear actuators I was talking about that lift and drop the entire assembly onto the ice. And lastly, to the rear toy hauler door. Now, before we start our first project of this episode, I wanted to fill in the backstory a little more on how my fishing crew and I have been fishing the last few years prior to the acquisition of this wheelhouse. So heading up to Red Lake, we'll start with the Sportsman 1000 watt mini generator that we use to power the portable. This little thing has been absolutely awesome and just runs nonstop. Minus 20, minus 10, it doesn't care. Now on to the shelter. What comes in 6-packs? Tacos, beer, and shelters. The Clam 6-pack boasts 94 square feet, a center height of 90 inches, and just shy of 12 feet across. This thing has been a massive portable platform for us. Heading inside, we'll start our tour. So the first thing you'll notice there is the 68-inch projector screen. So we bring a Pico projector along so that we can watch movies, play video games, and when we're not catching fish, we'll enjoy Clayton Schick catching fish. As we rotate around the shelter, I'll talk a little more about that projector when we get there. Next up is the furnace. Now, prior to this furnace, we had always used big buddy heaters, and they do a great job. The radiant heat is awesome. However, they emit a lot of moisture into the environment, and by the end of a two night stay, it'd be raining in the shelter. So because of that, we switched to a Suburban forced air furnace. It's a small little RV furnace that uses outdoor combustion air, so all the exhaust goes outside. And the forced air inside creates a very uniform heat, dry heat inside the shelter. It has definitely been a comfort enhancement. Now, if any of these items we're walking through here draw special interest, definitely let me know in the comments below, and we can do an extended deep dive into any of these in the following videos. Moving to the right is my underwater camera system. It's a quad camera, but unfortunately one of my cameras died here. I used some pipe inspection cameras coupled with a very low-cost DVI home security system and a 24-inch monitor with some baling twine, and got that set up. Panning to the left, you'll see my buddy Levi here diligently fishing, as well as that projector I mentioned. The unit's a Wawatau H8. It's native DLP 1280 by 800. It claims 3,000 lumens, but it's nowhere near that, but certainly bright enough for our little darkened fish house. It runs on a higher voltage than 12 volts, but I was able to use an old Dell power supply that converted 12 volts up to, I think, 18 this thing is native. So it has worked great, and we have gotten a ton of use out of this thing. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any video of our audio set up, but under that table there, we've got a 12-inch sub with 1200 watt amp and two Yamaha speakers on either side of the screen mounted to the shelter with another 125 watts per channel. After that, we'll round out here with just a quick snippet of the old trusty Vexilar. So on to our very first project. The wind keeps grabbing my door and whipping it back and forth, so we're going to add a bumper and door stay. Relatively straightforward project. Now, ouch, yep, that's the first one, the first hole in the trailer. That's always a tough one, but many more to come. So for this project, 8 stainless steel screws, 4 on each side. So we'll get it lined up here, drill the holes, and get the door assembly in place. We'll go ahead and center punch the top 2 holes and rip some pilots in there quick. Grab the trusty driver and hit home the last 2 stainless screws on the door side. Next, we measure and position the receiving unit on the other side. Drill some pilot holes and attach. Now, one of the challenges I have here is that 16th inch tread bright is not a lot of material to screw into. So I went ahead and cut up a piece of 16th inch aluminum to VHB on the back side of that wall panel to give just a little more material to hold. Take the edges off the aluminum plate, wipe it down with alcohol, VHB it in place, drill pilot holes through that additional plate, and do the final screw into position. And good to go. Now you'll notice on here it's got that T latch that latches the door in place. The black sides on either side of that are bumpers. So if the wind does grab it and it's not latched, that is the bumping mechanism there that prevents the door from smacking.
Well, we got things kicked off there. We got our first project started, certainly an underwhelming project, but the real goal of this video was just for me to figure out video editing. Definitely a challenge and learning curve associated, so hopefully I'll get that wrapped and we'll have some more entertaining projects next time. So coming up in some of the next episodes, we've got layout planning. We'll be CADing up on the computer some different layouts and trying those out. We've got framing in the wheel wells and prepping for spray foam insulation. We've got an awning to put on, a few toolboxes up front, and much, much, much more. So please stay tuned and check out the next videos. We'll go from there. Thanks much.